Welcome to Algebra 2 L27 L31 Rational Expressions Review. Number 1, we are simplifying each statement. Take a look. Notice you have n minus 3 already. It's already factored, n's to the first power. Look at your denominator. What do they have in common? 2n. So factor out 2n. When you factor out 2n, you have n minus 3. See what they can cancel out. Notice you have n minus 3. They cancel to give you 1. Your final answer is 1 over 2n. And what can n not be? You take a look at the denominator. Set that one equal to 0. So n cannot be 0. Take the next factor as well. N minus 3 cannot be 0. So n cannot be 3. So your final answer is 1 over 2n, and n cannot be 0 or 3. Number 2, take a look at all your problems first. You got a quadratic, 1, 2, 3, with a square. You want to factor that one out. Look at your denominator. You have a quadratic. You want to factor that out as well. Okay? Take the first one, factor out x squared. So you have x and x. What two numbers multiply to give you negative 35 and is going to subtract to give you 2? 7 and 5. 7 will be positive, 5 will be negative. Take care of your denominator. Factor those out. Factor of x squared is x and x. Two numbers that multiply to give you negative 42, and it's going to subtract to give you 1. 6 and 7. Plus 7 minus 6. Notice you are multiplying each one of these factors. You see anything that cancel? Those guys cancels out to leave you 1 to 1. So your final answer is x minus 5 over x minus 6. And x cannot be opposite of negative 6, positive 6, opposite of positive 7, negative 7. There's your answer for that one. You can set each one of these equal to 0 as well to solve for it. Number 3. Take a look. Find your greatest common factor first. Here's your line. What do these three terms have in common? X squared. Factor out your x squared. When you factor out your x squared, you have x squared plus 3x minus 54. Look at your denominator as well. What do they have in common? What is your greatest common factor? X. Factor out your x, so you have x squared minus x minus 30. You're done with it? Don't look at it again. Look at this part. What do you notice that you can factor down some more, so you can cancel a few things? If you like, you could cancel these out or reduce it at this moment. But I'm going to factor each one of my quadratics first. Okay? X squared. What are some factors of x squared? X and x. What two number multiply to give you negative 54, and it's going to subtract to give you 3? 6 and 9. That'll be positive, that'll be negative. Factor out your x, draw two sets of parentheses. Factors of x squared, x and x. Two numbers multiply to give you negative 30, subtract to give you 1. Negative 6, positive 5. See what you can cancel out. Those guys cancel. This x also cancel, and take away that one as well. So all you have left is x plus 9 times x over x plus 5. You are not able to cancel or reduce these two because there's a plus 5 with it. This is a grouping. X cannot be 0. See how there's an x value? It cannot be opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. Opposite of positive 5, negative 5. And there you have number 3. Number 4, we are still simplifying each expression. Notice this is a plus. The best thing to do is try to find your LCD, your least common denominator. If you forgot what that is, this is what an example. Say I'm looking for least common denominator of 3 and 5. Okay? What are some multiples of 3? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. For 5, 5, 15, 20, 25. Okay? What are the 2 lowest number they have in common? 15. That is your least common multiple or least common denominator. All right. So at number 4, you want to find that first. Okay? So draw your line plus another line. If you can go from here to the next step, please do so, but I want to show you this part just so you know. Take a look at your 2 and your 6. What is the least common multiple they have in order? 6. How about the u? What is your highest u value? U squared. So the least common denominator is 6u squared. Okay? Take a look at this first one right here. I want to make this one look like that. This denominator to look like my new denominator. So what must I multiply it by? I have to multiply it by u, times u. What you do to the denominator, do to the numerator. So 2 times u is 2u. Next part, I want to make this one look like 6u squared. What hasn't been accounted for? What do I multiply this 2 by? A, 3. What you do to the denominator, do it to the numerator. You're trying to keep it equivalent. So therefore, 3 times 5 is 15u. Okay? Now, rewrite it as one fraction. 2u plus 15u over 6u squared. What do you have in common? Combine your like terms. 17u over 6u squared. Okay? Cancel out one of your u's. When you do, you have 17 over 6u. And what can u not be? Take a look at your LCD, your least common denominator. What can you not have? A 0. 6 times 0. So there you have your solution for number 4. Number 5. Okay? Find out your least common denominator. Notice you can just multiply those together. So you would have m minus 4 times m plus 3. That is your least common denominator. All right. Draw a line plus another line. Let's take a look. Look at that first term. You have m minus 4. Go ahead and write your least common denominator. Okay? You got a 3. I want to make this one look like this. So what has not been accounted for? M plus 3. So go ahead and write 3m plus 9. Okay? What hasn't been accounted for in that one? M minus 4. My apologies. Okay? M minus 4. So you'll have 4m minus 16. Go ahead and rewrite it as one fraction. M minus 4 times m plus 3. Combine your like terms. 3m plus 4m is 7m. 9 minus 16 is negative 7. You can leave your answer like that, or you can simplify. And if you do, you factor out your 7, so you have m minus 1 over m minus 4 times m plus 3. Okay? Either answer will be acceptable. I would rather have this answer simplified, but either one is correct. Number 6. Here we go. All right, on number 6, you are subtracting. Notice these are already factored as far as you can go. So find your LCD, your least common denominator. What is your least common denominator? N minus 1 times 5n minus 4. Okay? Line minus line. Write your least common denominator. Line minus line. That's where I got that from. All right. Look at that first term. N minus 1 is accounted for. What is not? 5n minus 4. So I'm going to multiply this one times 5n minus 4. Okay? Take a look at this one. 5n minus 4 is accounted for. N minus 1 is not. So I'm going to multiply this one times n minus 1. Now go ahead and distribute. 10n minus 8 minus, okay, negative 6 times n is 6n squared. See that? Negative 6 times that gives you negative 6n, which will make it a positive when you distribute. Rewrite them as one fraction. N minus 1 times 5n minus 4. Combine your like terms. I'm going to write that first. Negative 6n squared. Okay. 10n plus 6n is plus 16n minus 8. See if you can factor anything out. So, I'm going to go ahead and just to double check. So I'm going to factor out negative 2. When you factor out negative 2, you have 3n squared minus 8n plus 4. All of that over n minus 1 times 5n minus 4. Now, do you think I can factor that down some more to see if that works? You can try it and see if it works. You can do trial and error. You can do the box. You can do a lot of different methods, but do the one that works for you, okay? So, I'm going to try to see if I can factor this down, and if I can't, that will be your final answer. So here you go. 3n squared, blank, blank, plus 4. I'm going to do the grouping. Multiply your 3 times your 4. That gives you a positive 12. I want two numbers that multiply to give me a positive 12, and it's going to add to give you 8. 2 and 6, okay? So minus 6n minus 2n. Group the first two, group the last two. What do these have in common? 3n. Factor that out, so you got n minus 2. What do these have in common? Negative 2. When you factor out, you have n minus 2. So you have n minus 2 left over 3n minus 2. Do you guys see how these two are not going to cancel anything out? So we didn't have to do this part. So this will be your final answer. Okay? Number 7. Factor that out so you can take everything into account. X and x. Two numbers multiplied to give you 4, but subtract to give you 3. Minus 4 plus 1. So what is your least common denominator? X minus 4 times x plus 1. Draw your line plus another line. Let me go ahead and separate these guys, okay? Write your least common denominator for both of them. Take a look at this first term. Do you see how they're exactly alike? Just bring down your x minus 5. Next factor, I got x plus 1. What hasn't been accounted for? X minus 4. So go ahead and distribute that if you want to. 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times negative 4 is negative 20x. Okay? Now, go ahead and rewrite it as 1. There's your denominator. X minus 4 times x plus 1. Combine your like terms. I'm going to write this one first. 5x squared. X minus 20x is negative 19x minus 5. You can go ahead and factor that down if you can, but if not, this is your final solution, okay? Because you really can't factor that down. That's already simplified. There's number 7. Number 8. We are now multiplying, and the easiest way to think about multiplying is pretty much just make one straight fraction, one big fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my line to make one big fraction. Take a look at that first group right here, okay? Do you need to factor that one down? Yes, that's a quadratic. What are factors of x squared? X and x. Two numbers to give you negative 18, subtract to give you 3. Negative 6 plus 3. X minus 8, already simplified. See, I'm just putting it all together. X minus 1, already simplified. Look at this right here. Do I need to factor that one down? You bet. Two sets of parentheses. Factors of x squared is x and x. Two numbers multiplied to give you 48, and it's going to subtract to give you 14. Minus 8, minus 6. Notice how all of these are multiplying times each other. See the parentheses? Cancel out what you can. Those guys cancel. X minus 8 cancel. So all you have left is x plus 3 over x minus 1. Okay? Number 9. Here you have a division. Whenever you have a division, you have to take the reciprocal. So I'm just going to rewrite it so you guys can see what we do, and we'll continue from there. 2, 5x minus 40. Instead of dividing, I'm going to multiply, and I take the reciprocal. X minus 8 goes on top, 1 goes in the denominator. Okay? Now go back to number 8, and you do exactly the same way. Draw your line. Take a look at that first one. Nothing there. Already simplified. Same goes for that one. Already simplified. Look at that. What do you need to factor out? A 5. And you are left with x minus 8. And then you have a 1. And if you really want to write that 1, you can. But not, you don't need to. See what cancels out. X minus 8. So now you have 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 1 is 5. There's your number 9. Okay. Number 10. We will also be dividing. Find out where your big divisor is. That's this one right here. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. N squared plus 15n plus 56 over 7n plus 56. And since I'm dividing, I'm going to go ahead and change that to multiplication and take a reciprocal. What's in the numerator goes in the denominator. 4n squared plus 28n. What's in your denominator goes to the numerator. Okay? And you just go back and do like you did number 8. Draw yourself a big line. One group at a time. Look at that one. What do you need to do? Factor, 2 sets of parentheses. Factors of n squared is n and n. 2 numbers multiplied to give you 56, and it's going to add to give you 15. 7 and 8. Okay. Next group. What do those guys have in common? 4n. Factor out 4n, you have n minus 4. That group. What do they have in common? 7. Factor out your 7 and you have n plus 8. Okay. Look at those guys. What do they have in common? A 4n. Factor out 4n, you have n plus 7. Now take a look and see what you can cancel out. 4 cancel, n cancel, n plus 8 cancel, n plus 7 cancel. So all you have left is n minus 4 over 7. It's number 10. Number 11. Notice the symbol. It is a multiplication. Draw one big line to help you. Okay? Take a look. Here's your first one. Already factor. Write it down. Look at your next one. You have a quadratic. Factor that one. 2 sets of parentheses. Factors of x squared, x and x. 2 numbers multiplied to give you negative 16, and it's going to subtract to give you 6. 8 and 2, plus, minus. Plus 8x minus 2x is positive 6x. Next one, quadratic. Factor that one as well. Factors of x squared is x and x. 2 numbers to multiply to give you 2, add, give you 3. Plus 1, plus 2. Okay. Next set of quadratics. 2 sets of parentheses. Factors of x squared, x, and x. 2 numbers multiplied to give you 14 is going to add to give you 9. Negative 9 minus 2, minus 7. Anything that cancels. Those guys cancel. These 2 cancel, and that's it. So your final solution is x plus 8 over x plus 2 times x minus 7. You can distribute this out if you want to, multiply it out, but I'm going to leave it just like that. And I'm going to stop right there and start number 12 on the next video. Thank you.